The Battle of Great Britain began by Hitler's plan of attack, known as Operation Sea Lion. This was an invasion of Britain, but Germany had first planned to destroy Britain's air force. On July 10, 1940, the Germans' first attack was shipping convoys in the Channel and Channel ports using the Luftwaffe aircrafts. Hitler was also led to believe that Britain's radar masts were of an importance, giving Germany reason to attack the south coast stations, causing some of them a large amount of damage. In the beginning of August, the raids in the south coast of England had grown in size and number. Eagle Day by the German High Command, or Adler Tag, was a day of massive raids against the airfields of 11 Group. The attack was issued August 13th and had the goal of destroying the RAF in southeast England. Raids of either low or high levels were sent by the Germans to different destinations at the same time to pressure British defenses. 11 Group became desperate as this strategy was sustained into September. Maintenance and extra supplies were running thin due to the ground crews suffering from the attacks, as well as facilities were destroyed in the bombings. The Germans then began night raids to stop the British from repairing damage overnight. One night, an aircraft bombed a civilian area of London by mistake. This became a crucial turning point in the battle. Britain's response to this attack was to bomb Berlin. Fears grew that British cities would be raided more, so children were evacuated to safe places within the country. When it seemed like British forces couldn't continue, the Germans changed their tactics. Hitler was angry by the attack on Berlin. He felt that the attacks on airfields were not destroying enough RAF fighters. He changed targets to attacking cities and industries, hoping to break British morale, as well as to destroy factories that built fighter aircrafts. Knowing that the German target was going to be London and its industrial centers, the British controllers had time to set up a large number of fighters to attack the Germans before they could bomb. By changing targets, the Germans had helped the British and gave the country an opportunity to rebuild itself. As summer ran into October, the German day bomber losses became very large. This forced the bombers to only operate at night. Germans' losses began to rise in number and the weather began to worsen. Hitler's attention became more focused on the upcoming invasion of Russia, and he was forced to postpone Operation Sea Lion, causing the raids to stop in late October. 2,353 young men from Britain and 574 from overseas took part in the Battle of Britain. 1,335 died in action or during the course of their duties after the war. The Battle of Britain was the first defeat of Hitler and his forces. Air dominance was the key to victory. Hitler's dream of global domination had now died, and the British successfully prevented Germany from knocking them out of the war. The UK's fighter command was split into 4 groups: 10 Group, 11 Group, 12 Group, and 13 Group. Air Vice Marshal Sir Quintin Brand commanded 10 Group and defended Wales and the West Country New Zealander. Air Vice Marshal Keith Park covered southeast England and critical approaches to London with 11 Group. 12 Group was led by Air Vice Marshal Trafford Leigh-Mallory and defended the Midlands and East Anglia. 13 Group covered North England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, led by Air Vice Marshal Richard Soule. In this political cartoon, it takes place in a dentist's office with Hitler being the dentist. Hitler is calling in his next victim into his office from the waiting room where each patient symbolizes a country. In the waiting room, there are hats lined up along the wall with each country Hitler has taken over written on them. There aren't any men left underneath their hat except for Britain, to show that Britain is the last opposing country standing. The man for Britain has his sleeve rolled up to say that he has a trick up his sleeve, and pliers in his hand like Hitler does, and a smirk on his face to represent that Britain is going to fight back and not give up its country. Alfred Keith Ogilvie was born September 14, 1915, in Ottawa, Canada. He joined the RAF and finished his training to be a fighter pilot in British forces. He opened his Battle of Britain by shooting down an ME-109 and claimed to the likeliness of destroying an ME-110 as well on September 7th. In his diary on September 25th, when the squadron engaged ME-109s over Bristol at 1200 hours, he wrote,
I was giving a Dornier hell and both engines were streaming glycol when there was a gigantic pow and a nice hole appeared in my right wing. Immediately I saw a 109 quite close behind, and it was evident he didn't want to be my Valentine. I only shook him off after he sent another through my tail, one up my fuselage, exploding in my wireless, and one in my port wing, puncturing my tire. Certainly my closest yet.
When Germany outnumbered Britain nearly 2-1, Britain was in seek of help and didn't know where else they would be able to turn to for assistance. This is when Britain turned to Canada. Canada began to train pilots and assembled Hurricane fighters to be in British defenses. The fighter group 242 was a Canadian fleet that shot down a large amount of Messerschmitts while British fighters regrouped. Canada took a powerful role in the British battle and was of large assistance.